Okay. Also, I've given you the instructions, the exercise instructions. Our copy machine doesn't like the color red, so the colors that are on there doesn't really do it any justice. But if you download the instructions, that's not it, from Moodle, you can actually get a color version, if I have it. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, don't have it on hand quite just yet, but if you download the instructions from Moodle, you can see the actual colors of what I'm looking at, and it'll make a little bit more sense than the copy that I gave you. Let's start off in Illustrator. I'm going to just kind of step through the entire thing. In Illustrator, here's my entire process. You're only going to need 3 pages, so we're not going to worry about this just yet. When we go to File and New, as far as the number of artboards that you have, we're going to make 3 of them, so you can give me 3 different designs. And the size of them are going to be 8 by 8. Everything else we're going to keep exactly the same. Won't really matter about bleed or color mode. This is the way it could be set up. You could have yours all in a row. As long as you have 3 of them, that's what I'm looking for. The first step is to give yourself kind of a base font. This will be the one font that you're going to be modifying, to be changing up, whatever you want. So type out the name of your candy. And I'll do it this way. E-O-U-X. Mondos. And we'll make it nice and big so we can see it. The font I want you to choose will be either a serif or a sans serif. So don't use a script font, don't use a grunge font or anything too complex. Keep it simple. It's going to be a lot easier on you to make modifications to a serif or a sans serif than something that's got a lot of detail to it. Everybody clear on a serif and sans serif, what that is? Okay, cool. You're in Design 3 for crying out loud. As far as choosing fonts, of course at the top, you know you've got your font to pick from. If you use this one, you don't get a preview of what it looks like. If you click on character and then choose it, then you get a preview of what it looks like. I actually like to open up my character palette. Oops, deselect it, character palette, and work from that so I can see my different fonts. There we go. From here, go through and see what's on your computer. If you want to download another font, I'm okay with that. But the thing is, remember, I'm looking for serif kind of, or sans serif fonts. So I'm staying away from things like this, or things like that. Also pay attention to what does your font say about your product. So Mondos, is this the upper level or everyday level? Everyday level. So I want it to look a little bit more approachable. I don't want it to seem very eloquent. I don't want it to seem high-priced. How do I choose a font that's high-priced or not high-priced? Let's see if I can find, what if I did something like this? Does that font look high-priced? It's fancier. What makes it fancier? It's italics. It's thinner. Looks like it's written maybe with a pen.
The varying widths of the font.
What about something like this?
It's kind of in between.
It's kind of in between. It's, you know, it's still a little bit kind of italics, but it's a little bit more bubblier. It's got rounder edges. These are the type of things that you develop as a designer's eye. It has a feel that you're looking for. Baskerville, if I did Baskerville regular versus Baskerville, we'll do bold. That could go either way. Regular looks fancier, but bold looks more approachable. And all I'm doing is I'm just playing around and getting something, that would be kind of a cool one to work from. Getting an idea of what font would match my needs. Now if I chose this one, way too complex, looks dangerous to begin with. But little extra things like this and like this, when we expand them, are going to be too difficult to add on to. For this project, I want you to keep it a little bit simpler. Even things like, stay away from script fonts for now. Let it be a serif or a sans serif that you choose. Hey, if you can get away with something like this, that would be cool. But Cooper Black. Okay, the one I chose was this particular font. Actually, I chose 3 of them, and I was kind of debating between each one of these. So I've got Nuvia, Abadi, and Rockwell. Each one of those kind of has a nice little feel to it. I like this one because it's a little bit more cartoonish. It has that Saturday morning cartoon kind of feel, like you're watching Garfield or Felix the Cat or what cartoons come on nowadays? They have Saturday morning cartoons anymore? Yeah, I think they're starting to abandon those. Okay, so here's the first thing you're going to do. Take whatever font that you have, and once you find one that you like, place it on all 3 of the artboards. So just make a copy onto all 3 so that you've got 3 different copies. The next thing we're going to do is search for some letters that we can take apart. And what I'm looking for on these letters are the serifs on them, the way their feet look, the way their ligatures, their arms, and different things that make up the letter. And we're going to literally erase it away and add those parts to our existing word. Does that make sense? As far as searching, you could type out the entire alphabet, or I'm just giving you some good example ones like the STLQR, lowercase g, FEMY. Each one of these kind of gives you an idea of what the parts look like. So there's the spine of the S, there's the Q has a tail, you've got ascenders and descenders. From here, now I'm going to start finding another font that I like, or parts of the font. This can be script. This can be something a little bit more complex if you want. So this particular one, maybe not. And I'm looking for something that would complement my style really, really well. This would complement it well. I love the tail on that Q, the way it ends right there. Look at the serifs on the end, or where the spines on these look, the way the little ends of the Fs are. That's what I'm looking for in these fonts. I don't really care if it spells out something or makes sense. I'm looking for parts. Think of it as like a car you're going to be taking apart and adding to yours. There's that part of the Q, even though it's blending to it. A hot rod. We're hot rodding a font. What part of Baskerville do I like? Look at the way the G ends on that one. Man, look at the tail on that Q. Look at the way the I ends on this one. The way the F finial ends. Little ear on the G. All of those are nice little things that I'm looking for. Forgot which one that I chose. There's Cooper. Curls has some funky looking little ends to it. If you think that's something you can add. One thing I don't want you to do is to replace an entire letter inside of here. We're going to be taking parts of a letter. There's elephant. Oh man, look at those. Thin lines, thick lines, thin lines and thick lines. Got a lot of that up there as well. In my example that I've got, these were the letters that I'm going to be working from. So I love the way the tails ended on these. These are the little parts that I want to take away from my letters. And I'm going to be adding those onto here. So here's how we're going to do it. To do this, we're going to expand the letters and erase away or cut away what we want to keep. So to do this, select your letters, go up to Type, and Create Outlines. So now they're nice and expanded. We've got them into objects. They are grouped together, so I'll need to ungroup them. Object and ungroup, in order to select individual letters and affect those. We'll do the same thing for down here. Type, Create Outlines, and then we're going to ungroup those as well. Now let's start finding what we want. I'll work for these down here. Here's how I want us to go about deconstructing the letter. There's 2 tools we can use. We can use the shape builder tool, or we can use an eraser tool. Each one kind of has its advantages. If I needed to do a simple erasing away of part of a letter, let's say this T, I want to keep this top part, but I want to get rid of the spine down here. The eraser tool looks like an eraser. If you don't see it, it's hiding underneath your scissors or your knife. Works a lot like a brush tool does. Notice that I've got a size for my brush. Hey, how do you change the size of a brush in Photoshop? What's the keyboard shortcut? Bracket keys. Same way on Illustrator. Use your open and close bracket key to make it larger or smaller. From here, I've got it selected. That's important. I can just click and drag and erase away what I have. Now the downside to the eraser is that you're going to have little parts that you may have to deal with, so you may have to actually go back in and clean that up. But for the most part, I just stole the top off of a T. Pretty cool? Little part of it. Let's get another part. Let's say I wanted the end to this L. We'll select it. Make sure it's selected. That's a big key point. Use your eraser. And judging by where I want to stop, I'll just start it right here. and erase that away. Notice because it's selected, notice I'm trying to get rid of the Q. If I get rid of it, the Q didn't go away, but the L did. I had it selected so that one works. So there's part of that one that I want to keep. That's kind of the easy way to pick and grab parts from different fonts. Here's a harder way. Let's say I wanted the tail on this Q. If I did erase it away, grab my eraser, I'm running into the part, like this part right here. How does it end? How does this part overlap the other? I could make it nice and small, but what I'm having to do is I would have to kind of redraw and very carefully trace it off. I want to do a better job with that. So with this, let's use our shape builder tool. I'm going to use my pen and give myself just a simple line. I'm going to draw off the areas where I want it to stop. So in this case, I'll start here and just draw a line that'll dissect it right there. I'll even change the color of my line so you can see it. So there's a line that stops there. I want this one to extend right here. If you wanted, you could just go ahead and like completely encircle the entire area. I think in the instructions, that's what I'm asking you to do. Just kind of, let's say I wanted it to end like that. So it loops around. All cool? Make sense? I've selected that area using my pen tool. Now I'm going to select both of them. So both my outline and the Q is selected. Here's where the shape builder tool comes in. Shape builder, it's hiding under your paint bucket. With this one, remember you can quickly erase away different areas. What do I hold down to erase? Option. Option. Oops. Sorry, I'm zooming in. Zoom in. Hold down Option and erase away the outer side of it. Now all I'm left with is my tail. Pretty cool. And that's what we're doing. That's the essence of taking each little individual part. So I've got a tail that looks like this. I could look for little ends of the feet, look for straight lines. Don't think that it has to be the end parts. It can be any part of it, anything that's different from the font that I have. I've gone ahead and done this with different fonts. And this is what I've come up with. All these different little things that I can use inside of my font. Straight lines, I've got straights with curves. I've got little ending parts, curly cues. Fun, fun little things. All clear on that? Makes sense. What you're doing is you're stripping it down. From here, I've made these red so you can see it. Take your little extra pieces, your little interesting pieces. Now let's start applying them to my word. So I'll paste them over here. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I do that, I'm going to paste these over here so they're here. Let's go back to our word. What I want to do is I want to take my letters in my word and start to move them around and reshape them. My finished product looked like this. Where is it? There it is. Looks like this. I had the, there we go, Mondo's. It has this kind of curvature type to it. What I did to achieve that, not only did I change the size and the position of it, I also changed up the size and length of different parts of my letters. Since they're nice and expanded, I can select them, can do things like move them around, move them up and closer. Make sure that it does read well. Like you wouldn't want to flip the end so much that it starts to look like a U. Keep that in mind. But since this is the fun kind of brand, kind of went a little crazy with it. You can make things different sizes. You can have things overlap, no problem with that. You can flip things around, whatever. What tool would I use if I needed to not just change the size of something, but also the part of something?
Direct selection.
Direct selection tool, the white arrow. So if I wanted, if I wanted this N, this letter leg of the N to be longer, I can't use my black arrow to select it. It's going to select the whole thing. I can use my white arrow, select just that area, and then pull it down. Now only those pixels are being affected. So very quickly, you can start to see how things are shaping up. I've gotten from that font to here. Now let's add my extra little bits. So I'm taking that font, I've redesigned how it looks by itself. Now let's start to add on the different pieces. Here's where it comes in. I've taken the different feet, the ligatures, the things that I've added, flip them around, rotate them, see how things work with each other. You'll start to see that, hey, that kind of fits, something would work out. I like the way the X, this would replace the larger part of the X. I like the way this made my S look a little bit softer. All of these are little things that you can add to your layout. Let's bring this back up here. Let's work through that a little bit. Remember, you can use this on multiple fonts, so don't think you have to be stuck with just these ligatures. If I wanted to change it up even more, maybe instead of the M starting off like this, I could have this as a starting M. Now I would erase away that part. Making it red will allow me to see what the original looks like, what the end looks like. The difficulty with this is going to be making sure what you're adding matches the style of what you have. So I wouldn't want to have this leg be ridiculously small and say, well, I want it to match. I would need to make it thicker as well. Or I would need to make it too big. And it's, wow, it's way, way too big. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. That's the fun part. You're just adding on to it. As far as the X, so I'll replace the X with that part right there. Change the size, change the rotation. Here's what I had from here. Cool? Mondos coming together. I get a good idea. Now let's join everything together. One holy matrimony. To do this, we're going to use the Shape Builder tool again. Take it one bit at a time. So in this case, I want to add this to the M. Select both of them. Grab my Shape Builder. There it is. I want to erase away the little foot, and I want to keep this part. Well, let's see. If I wanted to erase that away, is it picking it up? Yep, it's picking that up. So I can erase that, and I can get rid of that part. Uh-oh. Now, it didn't pick it up. The little piece right there was off. I can go ahead and add this.
Are you pressing Control?
I'm pressing Option to erase away.
How did you just add that?
Oh, no, yeah, normal mode is adding mode. Just click and drag. And it added it to there. There it is. Hey, now that I added those two, let's see if I can hold down Option. There's my minus. Now I can erase that away. So I've got that joined together. Same way for the N. If I wanted to, select both of them.
How'd you add it again?
Okay, adding for this tool, you don't do anything. Don't have to hold anything down. It just, the default function adds on to everything. Subtracting is when you hold Option. So to add, just click and drag, and it works together. Same way for that. To subtract, Option, subtracts it away. A little bit over here I need to clean up. And let's add everything together. So there's the N. For the D, we'll select both of them. Let's see, click and drag, delete that away. One thing I did was I wanted the D to end. I didn't want it to connect right there. So I grabbed my eraser tool. Let's see if it'll, where is it? And this is where I went back in with my eraser and cleaned it up as well. So maybe just erase away that part. So you don't have to use that specifically. So there's the D created like that. You're working between the two. For the X was the funnest one. Shape Builder, wherever it is, come on. There. Select both of them. I want to erase away this part, erase away this part, and I want to add in everything else. Those two together. Nope, I want to keep that. Until it all becomes one solid piece. Pretty cool? Once you're finished, now of course mine's red and black. You'll make it one solid color. This is what I'm left with. And I can go back in and I can clean up other little bits to it as well. It's like I've got some stray markings on this. But this is my logo. All created from one font where I've taken other parts and added to it. You can add little extra swatches, you can resize things, make it however. It needs to read, however, as Mondo or Modo. So that's the major other thing. Now let's really have fun. We're going to polish this up. This by itself is a good logo. Works fine in black and white. But what I want to do is I want to make it look like something that's on a package. I want to add a little extra dimension to what I'm doing. To do this, we're going to work in Photoshop. Photoshop will give you the best control over your special effects. Illustrator has special effects. They're very difficult to use. I rarely use these in Illustrator. So let's do it in Photoshop. Select it. I know by experience I'm going to change the color of it. We'll make it white. You can make it whatever color if you want. Jump into Photoshop. We're going to make a new document. File and new. The size of it, I believe, is going to just be 8 by... Yeah, 8 by 8. Make sure you got inches selected. 300. The color mode is important. We're going to be working in RGB. This will give us the best blending options for our package. RGB, 300 resolution. Say okay to that. This is what we got. Blank canvas. The first thing you'll want to do is to give yourself some sort of background. I like to use a gradient background so it's not just a solid color. You can play around with this, but to give a gradient background, layer, new fill layer, gradient. Ask for a name, we'll say okay. It can be a simple linear gradient. It can be a radial gradient from the center point outward. Here's what I did for mine. Let's see. One side, or the center point, I'm going to make it just a lighter type color. And it gets slightly darker as it goes out. So it goes from light purple to maybe a darker type purple. Something as simple as that kind of breaks up the monotony of a solid color. Real easy to do. If you wanted, you could add stripes to it like I did for my original. All I did to get those stripes was I added some rectangles in the background underneath it, changed my blending mode. So all those are just some regular rectangles. Won't do that for here. I've copied my font. Let's paste it into here. Here's what's going to come up. Since I'm pasting vector objects into a raster program, I need to know, do I want pixels? Do I want paths? Do I want it to be a smart object? For what we're doing, we're just going to keep it as pixels. It will let me resize it, so let's make it nice and big. Hit return, locks it in. So I've got it now on layer 1 on top of the other. Now let's have fun. Let's open up our special effects and see how we can make it pop. Remember, if you double click on a layer, this will bring up your layer styles option. And we've got all these different styles to work with. If you've ever done Photoshop tutorials online, a lot of them kind of deal with using layer effects. Every one of them is going to be slightly different. Each one gives you different kind of effects, and this is the type of thing you play around with. Here's the general rule that I tell everybody. Don't add a bunch of effects to one thing. The more you add doesn't make it look better. Play around one effect at a time and see exactly what it does for your design. If it doesn't look good, don't add it. Take it away. If it looks good without it, don't add it. Keep it off. But if it adds something that you like, go with it. The first one I always add is a drop shadow. This way it adds a little bit of depth to what I'm having. Here's the second major tip. Never ever keep the default settings to your style. This includes the color that you're working with. Default drop shadow is always going to be black. What color scheme am I working here?
Purple.
Purple. I can change the drop shadow of my shadow from black to something in the purple family. Notice how now it's a little bit purple. It adds cohesion to your design. I could even go as dark as blue, and so now I've got a nice deeper type style to it. Change up your styles to it. Change up the distance if I want to make it farther away, closer, size of it, the spread of it. A lot of this depends on how you set up your document. That looks pretty good. I like that right there. So here it is before, here it is after. Other things you can add. The bevel and emboss. People go crazy with bevel and emboss. Essentially, all this does is adds a little bit of dimension to what you have. It makes it look beveled. Adds a shadow and adds a highlight to your area. Since mine's white, we can't really see the highlight. But like the other ones, you can change the color of your shadows and highlights. Since I made my shadow blue, let's make this shadow blue. Change the color of my highlight rather than it being white. We'll make it, let's make it yellow. Hey, I made it yellow. Yellow's not showing up. The reason why? Change your blending mode. I'm working in screen. Let's do normal. Now it's got a slight little tinge of yellow to what I'm working with. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure you can see everything. It's subtle, but little subtle things tend to add the most depth to it. As far as the style of embossing, you've got different styles up here. This is an inner emboss or an inner bevel. It can be beveled on the outside, so now it looks like it's on the outer edges of your design. Change the size of it. Hey, that's kind of cool in itself. Play around with it. Maybe I don't like the yellow. Maybe I want it more red. Maybe I want more pink. Hey, now we're getting somewhere. Make it softer, harder. The main thing is don't stick with what you got. Change up your lighting source. If I want it to go another way, that's actually looking pretty good right there. If I wanted, I can add an inner shadow. I can add a stroke. Strokes are another way of setting things off. Let's see, where's my stroke? There it is. With the stroke, not only can you change the color, you can change it and have it be a gradient as well. So if I wanted a gradient to match whatever I have, maybe even give it a shine. Pull back. Not brown. Make it a darker blues on each side. Maybe my highlights are purples. And then change the size or scale of it. Make it thicker, make it thinner. This time, instead of it being a solid color, now it's got a nice little outer shadow or outer stroke to it. Let's see. Inner shadow gives it a little bit of inside edge. Change the distance of that. It's starting to get a little too much. Does it look better with this or without it? What do y'all think? What reads better?
I think about it.
Without it. I think so too. I'm going to leave it off. Hey, it's a cool effect. I don't care if it's cool. If I can't read it, it's not getting good. So I'm going to leave it out. Another one that I like to add is a gradient overlay. Rather than keeping a solid color, having a little bit of a gradient from one color to the other edge allows you to do this. From here, maybe I wanted to add some more of that purple down in there. So I'm going to change my black to a purple color. And this is what I get. And so I'm playing around with that. If I wanted to move this around, I can click on my surface and have it start and stop at a different spot. I can change the type of gradient that I have. Instead of linear, let's do an angled one. This is where it starts at one point, goes off at another angle. So now it's darker and it wraps around and gets lighter on the other edge. We'll say okay to that. This is what I'm playing around with. Make sense? Cool? Really cool? The first thing you got to do is redesign, reposition your lettering that you have on your font. These were the styles that I added to this one just to give it this kind of effect. I think I was trying to copy the Nerds candies. Is it Nerds? What, the little things? Yeah. Wonka. That's what it is. For this one, I added a bevel, a stroke, a gradient, and a drop shadow. That's all that it needed. Everything was very, very subtle. Notice the colors that I have. I've got blues, I've got purples, I've got reds. Kept it all in the same color family. I didn't use anything default, black or white that came up. The first thing you need to do, set up your document, make sure you've got 3 different areas, use the same font in each one. Once you've got your font that you like, your base font, then start choosing other letters, break them apart, and redesign, reposition your wording. Cool?
So we should be turning in 3?
Yeah. What you're going to turn in the Illustrator file. It should have 3 different styles, 3 different fonts, 3 different designs. And you're also going to save this as a JPEG once you're finished. If I do want to save the Photoshop file, it'll give me all of my layers.
Can we do one Photoshop?
Yeah, just one. Yeah, just pick one. Good question. Sorry about that. Pick one design that you like, bring it into Photoshop, and only add the effects to that one design. Not looking for 3. Cool? Cool. Okay. That's it for there.